Yemen, a once vibrant country, now teeters on the brink of collapse. This isn't just another civil war. It's a proxy battleground for two regional titans, Iran and Saudi Arabia. While the Yemeni people suffer, these powers clash in a deadly game of influence, fueling the conflict with weapons, funding, and political maneuvering. This video will unravel the intricate web of this conflict, explore the devastating human cost, and leave you questioning who will ultimately emerge victorious in this struggle for dominance. This version aims to be more concise while still conveying the key elements of the conflict: proxy nature, the suffering of the Yemeni people, and the competition for influence between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The conflict in Yemen has deep roots in the long-standing rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia. These two countries have different beliefs about how the Middle East should be governed. Iran is a Shia Muslim country, while Saudi Arabia is Sunni Muslim. This religious difference has led to political tensions between the two countries for many years. In the 1970s, Saudi Arabia was worried about Iran's growing power in the region. Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979 further increased tensions between the two countries. Saudi Arabia saw Iran as a threat to its own power and influence in the Middle East. Since then, Iran and Saudi Arabia have supported different groups in conflict across the Middle East. This has led to a proxy war between the two countries, each side trying to gain influence in different countries. The conflict in Yemen is just one example of this proxy war. Before the current conflict, Yemen faced many challenges. The government was weak and corrupt, and there was a lot of poverty and unemployment. Many people felt that the government wasn't helping them, and there were protests and unrest in many parts of the country. There were also tensions between different groups within the country, including between the north and the south. The Houthis are a group of Shia Muslims who live in the north of Yemen. They have been fighting for more rights and autonomy for many years. In 2014, the Houthis took control of the Yemeni capital Sana'a. This happened after a series of protests and clashes with government forces. The Houthis claimed that they were acting to protect the Yemeni people from corruption and to improve their lives. However, many people were concerned about the Houthis' growing power and their relationship with Iran. In 2015, Saudi Arabia and a group of other Arab countries started a military operation in Yemen. They said their goal was to restore the power of President Hadi, who had been removed from office by the Houthi rebels. They also wanted to stop the Houthis from gaining more power. The Saudi-led intervention involved airstrikes and a blockade of Yemen's ports and airports. This had a devastating impact on the Yemeni people, causing widespread suffering and a major humanitarian crisis. The Saudi-led airstrikes and blockade have had a devastating impact on the Yemeni population. The airstrikes have killed and injured many civilians, destroyed homes and hospitals, and damaged infrastructure. The blockade has made it very difficult to get food, medicine, and other essential supplies into the country. This has led to widespread hunger, disease, and death. The conflict in Yemen has also involved other countries. The United States has provided military and logistical support to the Saudi-led coalition. Iran has provided support to the Houthi rebels, including weapons and financial assistance. Other countries, such as the United Kingdom and France, have also been involved in the conflict, providing military and political support to the Saudi-led coalition. Iran supports the Houthi rebels because they see them as a way to counter the influence of Saudi Arabia in the region. The Houthis are Shia Muslims, like Iranians, and Iran believes that supporting them will help to weaken Saudi Arabia and increase its own power in the Middle East. Iran provides the Houthis with financial, military, and political support. Iran supports the Houthis rebels to counter Saudi Arabia's influence in the region. They provide weapons, training, financial aid, and political backing. Iran views the Houthis as allies due to their shared Shia faith and believes their success weakens Saudi Arabia, a key regional rival. While Iran denies directly supplying weapons, evidence suggests they provide significant support to the Houthi cause. Iran's involvement in Yemen has significantly increased tensions in the region. It fuels the rivalry with Saudi Arabia, making a peaceful resolution more difficult. The conflict risks escalating beyond Yemen's borders, potentially drawing other regional and international powers into the conflict. This increases the risk of a wider regional war with devastating consequences. Additionally, Iran's support for the Houthis strengthens their position, making it harder to find a political solution that addresses the concerns of all parties involved. The war in Yemen has caused a massive humanitarian crisis. Millions of people are struggling to survive. Many have lost their homes and are forced to live in camps. There's not enough food or clean water, and diseases like cholera are spreading rapidly. Hospitals and schools have been destroyed, making it hard for people to get the care they need. Children are especially affected, with many suffering from malnutrition and stunted growth. The war has also led to a mental health crisis, with many people experiencing trauma and depression. Humanitarian aid organizations face many challenges in delivering assistance to Yemen. The ongoing conflict makes it very dangerous for aid workers to operate. They face the constant threat of airstrikes, shelling, and ground fighting. This makes it difficult to reach people in need and deliver essential supplies. The lack of security also makes it hard to protect aid workers and their supplies. Additionally, the complex political situation and the presence of many different armed groups make it difficult to coordinate aid efforts and ensure that assistance reaches those who need it most. The conflict in Yemen continues, though the level of violence has decreased since a truce was agreed upon in April 2022. While this truce has expired, large-scale fighting has not resumed. However, smaller clashes and attacks still occur, and the underlying tensions between the various factions remain. Negotiations for a lasting peace are ongoing, but progress has been slow and fragile. The Yemen conflict is a devastating civil war fueled by the proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran supports the Houthi rebels, while Saudi Arabia leads a coalition against them. This has created a humanitarian catastrophe with widespread famine, disease, and displacement. Millions of Yemenis lack access to basic necessities like food, water, and healthcare. The conflict destabilizes a region, exacerbates tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and increases the risk of further regional conflicts. This summary aims to be concise, while conveying the core aspects of the conflict, the proxy war dynamic, the humanitarian crisis, and the regional implications. The international community has played a limited role in resolving the Yemen conflict. The UN has facilitated peace talks. Progress has been minimal. Divisions among international actors, some supporting the Saudi-led coalition and others backing the Houthis, have hindered unified action. Insufficient humanitarian aid and a lack of concerted pressure on all parties to cease hostilities and engage in meaningful negotiations have exacerbated the crisis. Increased diplomatic efforts, significantly scaled up humanitarian assistance, and concerted pressure on all parties are crucial for achieving a lasting peace in Yemen. The Yemen conflict is a devastating proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran supports the Houthi rebels, while Saudi Arabia leads a coalition against them. This has created a humanitarian catastrophe with widespread famine, disease, and displacement. Millions of Yemenis lack access to basic necessities like food, water, and healthcare. The conflict destabilizes a region, exacerbates tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and increases the risk of further regional conflicts. This conflict highlights the dangers of regional rivalries and the devastating impact they can have on innocent civilians. It underscores the urgent need for diplomatic solutions and international cooperation to address these complex challenges and prevent further suffering. The future of the Yemen conflict remains uncertain. While a complete cessation of hostilities seems distant, there's a glimmer of hope for a potential resolution. A key factor will be the willingness of all parties, the Houthis, the Yemeni government, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, to engage in genuine and meaningful negotiations. This requires a shift in mindset, prioritizing the needs of the Yemeni people over regional power struggles. The international community must play a more active role. This includes consistent diplomatic pressure on all parties, increased humanitarian aid, and supporting initiatives that foster dialogue and build trust. Ultimately, a lasting peace in Yemen will require addressing the root causes of the conflict, including political grievances, economic inequality, and the lack of good governance. This will be a long and challenging process, but it is crucial for the future of Yemen and the stability of the entire region.